In Anglo-Saxon England, there were no prisons. If you committed a murder, your punishment depended on the status of the person you murdered. You might be beheaded, burnt alive, thrown off a cliff, stoned to death, banished, sold into slavery. But in most cases, you had to pay a weregild. The weregild was a compensation payment you made to the family of the person you killed. Again, the fine would depend on the status of the person you killed. If you were a nobleman, a thane, then your life might be worth 1,200 shillings, while if you were a churl, a peasant that is, maybe with a smidgen of land and the lowest ranking of freeman, your life as a churl was worth perhaps 200 shillings. Incidentally, this is where the adjective churlish comes from, meaning vulgar and uncivilized. I'm fed up of your churlish outbursts. Anyway, if you were a landless labourer, you probably didn't get any weregild at all. They just gave you food and clothes, and if you killed a slave, you had to compensate the slave owner for the cost of the slave. And if a slave killed another man, they didn't have any money to pay a weregild, so they might kill him or mutilate him. What has this all got to do with the word history of men and women? I shall explain. It's a fascinating tale of 1,200 years of linguistic history and werewolves. So arm yourselves with an inquisitive mind and perhaps a silver bullet, and stay tuned. Hello and welcome to LetThemTalkTV. In the Anglo-Saxon language, also called Old English, the word for a man was a werman, and the word for a woman was a wifman. The man part of the word didn't mean man, it meant person. In werman, it's the were part of the word that indicates gender. So werman literally means male person. Wifman meant female person. Over many centuries, the were in werman was lost, so now it's just man. Over many centuries, the wif in wifman evolved into woman. Wif, you probably guessed already, morphed into the word wife. The word were, for man, still lives on in the word werewolf. That's why in most languages, the mythical beast is simply called a wolfman. For example, in Spanish, it's hombre lobo. Somehow it sounds more intimidating in Spanish, doesn't it? Hombre lobo. In German, in Dutch, in English and in French, a werewolf is a loup-garou. The were part harks back to an earlier Proto-Germanic word for man and can probably be traced even further back to a Proto-Indo-European word widas, meaning a hunter. The reason French has this Germanic word is that garou comes from the Frankish language. In German, Herr, meaning Mr., also cognates to our were. Incidentally, what would you guess is the name for a female werewolf? You'd think it would be wifwolf, though I can't find that in any dictionaries. Of course, I did some research and there is only one movie in this much underappreciated genre. It's an Italian movie and the English title is Werewolf Woman. So in Old English, wif meant female, and this also gives us the word midwife, which literally means with the woman. Now it's not entirely clear which woman they are referring to, and this has consequences in modern English. If the wife, the wif, the woman, is the woman who is giving birth, then that would mean that a man, midwife, would still be called a midwife. But if the wife refers to the assistant helping with the birth, then you'll have to find a new word for a male midwife. And doing a quick search, they are sometimes called male midwives, very rarely mid-husbands, but surely if you're respecting the etymology, the correct term would be midware. By the way, if you're a wereman or a wifman, do subscribe to the channel, all are welcome. Anyway, man originally meant a person of either sex. So in modern English, when you say mankind, it is gender neutral. Most people are unaware of this fact, and people nowadays, not wishing to be sexist, say humanity. But look right there in the middle, it contains the word man, and this man is not etymologically related to man as in a male person. But then again, nor is the man in mankind. This is very confusing, and I hope you're following. Anyway, to counterbalance mankind, you do have womankind. And in the spirit of inclusivity, chairman has been changed to chairperson, fireman has been changed to firefighter. And by the way, I'm with these changes all the way. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to push back the clock and reverse them. Far from it. Language evolves, that's how it is. However, in some cases, English has no gender neutral equivalent or a female equivalent for a compound word with man. Take no man's land. There is no person's land or no woman's land. You say a man-eating tiger, though this kind of tiger doesn't restrict its diet to the male of the species, and yet this has never been updated to a person-eating tiger. There is also manpower, and this refers to the labour or human resources required for a task. Man-made describes something created or constructed by humans. Manhandle, to physically handle something or someone with force. Manslaughter, the act of unlawfully killing another person without premeditation. A manhole, an access point to underground utility and sewer systems. Manhunt, a large search often by authorities to locate a specific person. Middleman, an intermediary or broker in a transaction or process. Workforce has become an alternative to manpower, but to my knowledge, the other don't have alternatives without man. And then there is the verb to man. For example, the sailors were ordered to man their stations as the storm approached. But there is no verb to person or to woman. Now let's look at woman and the plural women. And I have been an English teacher for many years, and this word is possibly the most mispronounced word by learners of English.
Woman.
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 The fault lies in the misleading spelling. It should be spelled like this, women, but it's not. By the way, do check out my groundbreaking video on the history of English spelling right here. Have you ever wondered why the pronunciation of the singular woman and the plural women are so different? Well, let me explain by analogy. Salesman is the singular and the plural is written like this, salesman. In writing, that's fine, but when we're speaking, the pronunciation is the same. Are you a salesman? 5 salesmen are working on the new product. Because the second syllable is unstressed, the vowel is reduced to a schwa, that is an sound. Salesman, 5 salesmen. With salesman or postman or fireman, it doesn't matter, we can work it out from the context. But because woman is such a common word, they needed to make the singular and the plural distinguishable. 1 woman, 2 woman, 3 woman, that's not going to work. So they changed the vowel sounds from o, a to e. Woman, women. Now it's clear if you're talking about 1 woman or the plural, women. And to complete the family picture, I thought we'd also look at the origins of boy and girl. And both of these words are etymological mysteries. We're not exactly sure where they come from, but let's look at some theories anyway. In Anglo-Saxon, the word for boy was knicht. And if you think that that's connected to the modern day word knight, then you'd be right. Knecht meant a boy or a manservant, in the same way as in old-fashioned French you call a waiter garçon even though he is a grown man. From manservant it evolved into a military follower of a king, and by 1100 it was being used to describe a military follower of a king on horseback. Boy is first attested in English around 1300, meaning a manservant, but it wasn't until 1440 that we get the first reference to it meaning a young male child. It might come from Old French emboué, meaning someone who is fettered, while others say that it's derived from boya, a first name in Anglo-Saxon England. And we still have today the name boycott, which means boyer's cottage. Anyway, as I said, these are just theories. Let's move on to girl. This is first attested in English around 1300, and originally it referred to a young person of either sex. Its origins are uncertain, and some word historians say it comes from the diminutive of an Anglo-Saxon word, gaura, meaning young child. Another theory is that it comes from the Anglo-Saxon word gierella, meaning a garment or a dress, and it started to be used in a humorous way to refer to the person in the dress. For me, neither theory is particularly convincing, so we don't know for certain. I'll let you decide. What we do know for certain is that you should definitely sign up to The Rambler, my newsletter about the history of the English language, link in the description, or become a Patreon, wisdom guaranteed. Stay mellow. Bye.